If you're unaware of the situation, Jordan Shanks, also known as Friendlyjordies, is a comedian and journalist. He satirised and criticised the Deputy Premier of New South Wales, John Barilaro. A couple of weeks ago, Jordan's producer Christo was arrested by an anti-terror police squad. Now, I'm sure Jordan will cover this eventually, but we all have one very simple question for the media, the politicians, and for John himself. And that question is, why was a comedian and journalist's producer arrested by the Fixated Persons Investigations Unit? It's a very simple question, but many journalists, politicians, and even John himself haven't managed to answer that question. Instead, they've attempted to deflect and obfuscate the issue at hand with their personal smears of Jordan. Tori Shepherd from Crikey called Jordan the Pauline Hanson of social media. Nicole Flint, a member of the Liberal Party, a party that is purported to be in favour of free speech, expressed her personal distaste towards some words Jordan has previously said. The Daily Telegraph and Mark Latham, both supposedly standing up for the Aussie battler, berating all the perpetually offended snowflakes who want to cancel everyone they disagree with. Well, they both seem to be offended and want him cancelled. I'm confused. Are these highly influential people trying to insinuate that because they personally dislike Jordan, it justifies an anti-terror goon squad arresting his producer? If that's the case, I'm terrified that they represent us. That has to be the most lucid indication of an authoritarian impulse within any given individual, that their personal, subjective opinion determines whether an artist and their colleagues can be arrested by the bogan Gestapo. I don't want anyone to be harassed, especially public officials, but as I said in the previous video, if it is deemed to be a legitimate claim of harassment, is it really an issue for the Fixated Persons Investigations Unit? Many people in the media thought Jordan's videos were racist. Well, they missed the entire point. He used hyperbolic racial caricatures as a way to highlight the mainstream media's obsession with cultural issues, because they're sexy and they don't challenge the status quo. So yes, they were ironically racist, in the same way Borat is ironically racist. Believe it or not, there are layers to satire. But for the self-obsessed media class, the self-professed arbiters of truth, those layers ostensibly went over their head. Surprising, considering how big their heads are. Now, of course, I'm extremely biased. I'm friends with Jordan, and I've always been vociferously in favour of freedom of thought and freedom of expression. I've been maligned for that stance. I've been called an alt-right Nazi, accused of turning a blind eye to verbal abuse against minorities such as myself for personal gain. It's not true, and I'm absolutely sick of it. I'm sincerely and fervently against verbal abuse towards minorities of any kind. Words can hurt. But do you know what hurts more? The gradual encroachment of my right to speak as freely as is reasonably possible in a democracy. I like feeling comfortable. Everyone does. But I would give up the right to not have my feelings hurt in order to speak my mind any day of the week. So, whether it's the pervasive threat of legal repercussions, subjective laws prescribing hate speech, the situation in Victoria, or the new online safety bill, they all do just that. Now, I'm not some conspiracy theorist trying to suggest that this is a nefarious plot to control the populace. I'm sure most of these initiatives are well-intentioned. The problem is, they can be so easily weaponized to silence dissent, to silence artists, like Jordan and his producer. It also seems awfully convenient that a meme page was deleted last week. I don't really care about left or right. I don't care if you're a communist or a capitalist or an anarchist Buddhist. I don't care whatever label you attach yourself to give your life meaning. But I do really care about this issue. And if you do too, it shouldn't matter whether you've pledged allegiance to the red team or the blue team. It should matter that our civil liberties are in jeopardy. So yeah, admittedly, I'm very biased. But despite that bias, I'm not married to my opinion. If someone can authentically convince me it was a justified use of power, I will gladly change my mind. But I'm yet to see a coherent argument in favour of the arrest. Only nebulous accusations of Jordan essentially being a naughty boy with a potty mouth. And it wasn't even Jordan who was arrested. So, as an artist, as a taxpayer, as a resident of New South Wales, I'm still waiting for an answer. Why was a comedian and journalist's producer arrested by an anti-terror police squad? And I'll keep making videos until I get that answer.